Well, hello. And today we are going to install Arch Linux using the Btrfs file system. If you don't know what Btrfs is, it's a B tree file system, which is based off of copy on write, and is kind of similar to LVM, but not really. Whereas you can have snapshots and stuff and have kind of like sub partitions in that way. But with Btrfs, it's really a sub volume, which is kind of like a folder that sits on the main partition. And so it, like I said, it's based off of a B tree technology, which is something that I'm not too familiar with, but B tree is something that, from my understanding, is actually stores deltas to the files that you're modifying instead of rewriting the files. So let's start getting into this. So I am using Windows. And the reason why I'm using Windows is because I keep it around for like all my IT related stuff like Windows 10, Windows 10 Server. I'm playing around with Active Directory right now. But yeah, let's actually get started with Arch. Okay, so basically this is going to be a install that is pretty similar to the normal install, actually. And let me actually get up my installation guide, because even though even though you've done this a million times and I have done this a million times, it's always good to refer to the documentation. And I'm not going to do any of this verifying the signature of like the ISO or whatever. If you're going to do this on real hardware, I probably, or anything production related, I would probably verify that it is the ISO that you think it is. Okay, so of course, it's always important to figure out where if this is a EFI system or not, or UEFI system. I believe I set this up as such, and I did. Okay. So next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we have internet. So I'm going to ping actually google.com. And I have a response, so I know I have internet. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set the network time protocol. So you do time, date, control, set dash NTP true. And as you can see, everything was good. And now here's where we start going to the Btrfs stuff. So with Btrfs, the way how I'm going to have this set up is I'm going to actually have a subvolume for all my partitions. So there's going to be a subvolume for home, there's going to be subvolume for root, there's going to be subvolume for my snapshots directory, there's going to be a subvolume for, and I'm going to set this up like how I do my main system, which I should have right here. Let me pull it up. Right here, this is a Btrfs volume. If I go into properties, Btrfs, there's a third-party driver that you can install for Btrfs support in Windows. I really recommend not doing so, because the last time, because in preparation of this video, I tried to take the disk offline and it ended up freezing my computer. Then I restarted and my whole Btrfs volume was corrupted. There's literally no way to restore from that. So just be careful with that. The only thing that I'm missing here is my snapshots volume, because I just did this last night, and I kind of forgot that volume, which you can actually add in the future, so it's not that big of a deal. You can do it after the installation, but it's one of those things where I really wish I did it during the installation, because then everything's set up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go into CF disk, and I'm going to create a partition. I usually like to make my EFI partition a little bit bigger than I probably need to. That's just preference, because if I ever wanted to put other files in the EFI partition, like boot ISOs, which you can do in Grub. I haven't done it in a while, so I don't know why I provision the partition, but I digress. Okay, so then that will be our EFI partition. Whoops. I want to make it a type of EFI. Then I want to create a new partition and just keep it to the Linux file system. And then you're going to write to disk. And let me actually make this bigger for you. So then you quit out. You clear. Hold on, let me pull up the instructions. I have it actually on my tablet here. So okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually partition, put a file system on these drives. So what I'm going to do is do a makefs vfat and set it to FAT32, and I'm going to do it SDA1. Okay. And of course, make sure that you are working on the drives that you want to. Best way to figure that out is do lsblk, and that will show you the drives that you have. If you know the partition, like how many partitions are on your other drives, or that your drives are different sizes, that's one way that you can figure out which drive that you're dealing with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do a makefs Btrfs of dev SDA2 with a -L for label, and label it whatever you want. In this case, I'm just doing Arch. So as you can see, the label is Arch, and everything's all set up for our Btrfs partition. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to set up some variables so we can actually reference them in the future. So we can actually just put everything in as one label when we're doing these partitions, or subvolumes, I should say. Sorry. And for this next one, compress, that's just the compression method that you're going to use with these. I usually do LZO, and then with the rest of this, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna set this as, even though this is not an SSD for this virtual machine, it's not even on it's not even on an SSD because it's on my data drive. But so, and then no A time. Whoops. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Not found. What did I do wrong? Uh, okay. Oh, that's why. Because I put a 0 instead of a no. Okay. Make sure you type in the right stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to mount this in here. So we're just going to mount this to, oh, whoops, sorry. We're going to actually mount this by label, actually, that we actually did. So arch, and then we're going to mount this to mount. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to create subvolumes. And we're going to create them in the Ubuntu style of naming. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if you want to use like something like time shift, they have to be in that format. Okay? So what I'm going to do is create a mount at the @ symbol. That's going to be the root directory. At home, at what is it? At varlog, and there's a reason why I'm doing a separate varlog, is that if you're doing like snapshots or whatever, you want to make sure that your logs are intact so you don't encounter the same issues that would cause you to do a restore of a snapshot. And then I'm going to do one that is at snapshots. Yeah, at snapshots. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do an unmount, a recursive unmount to MNT to mount. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to now mount the subvolume. So we're going to do a mount and specify the type Btrfs. Output at subvolume equals at for root. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this Btrfs to grab all those options that we just set. Then we're going to do label. Whoops. Label is equal to arch. And we're going to make that as the mount. Huh. Oh, default. Why are you not dealing with default? Let me see. Oh, okay. Because I made a little bit of a typo. Whoops. Let's see. Where is this? Defaults with an S. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to need to do is redefine that too. Okay. There we go. So then now that is mounted. Say at the very bottom, SDA2 on the mount, Btrfs, and the subvolume is at. Okay. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to then mount everything else that we need, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to mount the home, which will be /home in the mount directory. And the subvolume will be at home. Same thing with varlog, var_log. And this will be under /var/log. And then the last one will be snapshots. So snapshots and then /mount dot snap shots. There we go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a directory for our boot partition. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mount that with dev SDA1 to mount boot. There we go. And then after that is done, we're actually ready to install our base packages. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to run the packstrap command that is in the wiki with base. I like to do a base devel for all like the development packages. It also adds in sudo as well. If you wanted just sudo, you could just do sudo. But I do like to do compiling and stuff, so it's really handy to have. Then you want the Linux kernel, and then Linux firmware, and then any packages that you're gonna need for your graphics. So NVIDIA is an example. Then what you're going to want to do is you want to do Btrfs -progs to get the programs that you need. And then what you need to do is you need to add in something that you want for your text editor. I'm going to use Nano because it's easier to use while streaming, other than Vim or Emacs. Okay, so and then the last thing that I like to do is add network manager for my network stuff. And failed to install packages to new root. Why is network manager not a thing? Oh, that's why. Okay. And then wait for that to happen. Okay, so we're done. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do an arch root into the, into our main file system here. Oh, whoops. Sorry, scratch that. I forgot to gen the FS tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate the FS tab using UUIDs. And we're going to go from mount to mount FS tab. Whoops, no. ETC FS tab. Sorry. And then we'll just cat that out to make sure that everything's fine. Oops. ETC FS tab. Okay. So we have our root file system, we have our home, we have our varlog, and we have our snapshots. Okay. And we have our boot partition. So everything's all good. So now we can do a chroot. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our time zone, which user share region, zone info, America, and then here's all your possibilities if you're in America. I'm gonna pick Los Angeles, which I'm not in, but you put in what you need for where you live. See local time. Local time. And then set up your your hardware clock to sys to HC. Now, with all this like hardware clock stuff, if you are dual booting into Windows, you're gonna have problems with having the times adjust between boots, and that's the reason is because Windows doesn't use UTC time, and Linux does. So there's actually so Windows will set it to a local time, and then Linux will use UTC time. So that's why that will happen, and there's multiple ways of fixing that. My preferred way of fixing that is to actually adjust Windows so it uses UTC time. That's out of scope of this video, but you can go look that up and see how you do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually set our locale. So in my case, it will be English, United States, and that's going to be UTF-8. So then run locale. Oops. Oh, if I can type locale gen. And then after that, you can actually edit. Oops. Yeah, no. You can actually edit etc locale. Oops. .conf. Oops. And then add your language settings that you put in the last one. So I do, since I did US, do equals en underscore US dot UTF dash 8. Dash 8. mother freaker. Man, I can't type today for some reason. Damn. Okay. So that's what you do. And then if you had to set a keyboard layout, you would just add your key map there. Since I'm in the United States, it really doesn't matter. If you're in the United States and have a US keyboard, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so then now what we're going to do is we're going to actually set the host name. Host name. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this Arch VM because it's an Arch VM. Nano etc hosts. And I don't even have to look at this on my tablet for this because I already know what I need to put down. We're just setting all like the local host stuff and our local domain stuff. So here's where you're gonna do your host name dot and then your local domain, whatever that is. I'm just gonna keep it as local domain for this Arch VM. There we go. And then now, because we have Btrfs, we actually have to make changes to our what is it? I forget the name of it. Oh, to our init RAM FS. So go into your conf file for that. Go under hooks, and what you're going to need to do is after file systems, you're going to put in Btrfs space, and then that should be it for your init RAM FS. So what you're going to do is then generate that again. Set up your password. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go out and grab your bootloader. I'm going to use Grub. If you're on an EFI system and using Grub, at least I know you want EFI boot manager and EFI var to manage all that EFI stuff. Also, what you can do is you can do your microcode. So I have an Intel CPU, although it's a virtual machine, so it really doesn't matter. And then start all that up and then install. Then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to actually install the Grub bootloader. So with that, it is grub-install --target equals x86_64 -EFI, and then the EFI directory will be whatever you set the boot partition to be. Usually it's just boot. It could be boot/EFI I think too as well, but I just put it in boot. And then you can do bootloader -ID and then add that as arch or whatever you need. Okay, what did I do wrong here? Oh, okay. This is what I did wrong. Equals boot. Nope. Okay, what did I... Oh, also another dash there. There we go. That works. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a grub make config -o and then do boot grub.cfg, and that will make the config file. And then from there, what we can do is we can exit out, and then we can do a reboot. And we should reboot into the system. And now everything's all doing good. Root, your password. And then what we can do is one tool that I like to use is Snapper, which is oops, I forgot to pull up network config, or yeah, network manager, I mean. Oops. Okay, so now what we should be able to do is to pull this stuff in and install it. And then that is your stuff that you can use for your snapshots. And that is everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.